The date was June 13, 2025. The world was still asleep, unaware of the seismic shift about to occur. The silence before dawn, usually a symbol of peace and tranquility, was about to be shattered in the most violent way imaginable. A storm was brewing, and its first thunderclap was imminent. As the first rays of light threatened to pierce the darkness, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, a name that would soon be etched in the annals of history. It was a full-scale surprise assault on Iran, meticulously planned and ruthlessly executed. The operation aimed to deliver a swift and decisive blow. Years of covert conflict, a silent war fought in the shadows, had finally erupted into open war, a conflagration threatening to engulf the entire region. The stakes were impossibly high. Israeli jets like vengeful angels struck command centers with pinpoint accuracy, air defenses, the shield meant to protect the nation, and most critically nuclear sites across Iran, the heart of the nation's controversial ambitions. The world awoke to chaos, a rude awakening to a new and terrifying reality. News outlets scrambled to report the unfolding events. Explosions rocked the landscape near military installations, sending plumes of smoke billowing into the sky, a grim testament to the destructive power unleashed. Confusion reigned in Tehran, as citizens grappled with the sudden and unexpected attack. The streets, once bustling with life, were now filled with uncertainty and fear. Meanwhile, a calculated silence emanated from Tel Aviv, a deliberate strategy to control the narrative and maintain the element of surprise. Israel's strategy hinged on total surprise, a gamble that could determine the fate of the region. Every second counted. The aim was to cripple Iran's ability to retaliate effectively, to neutralize its offensive capabilities before they could be brought to bear. The Israelis wanted to ensure that Iran couldn't organize a coordinated response, leaving them vulnerable and exposed. Strikes targeted everything from missile silos hidden deep within the rugged Zagros Mountains to strategically vital radar sites encircling Tehran, the nation's capital. The message was clear and unambiguous. Nowhere was safe from Israel's reach. The rules of engagement had changed. This audacious attack was the violent climax of decades of shadow warfare, a long and bitter struggle fought in the shadows. Cyber attacks that crippled infrastructure, assassinations that eliminated key figures, and acts of sabotage that disrupted critical operations had all led inexorably to this pivotal moment, the point of no return. Israeli leaders, in carefully crafted statements, framed the attack as a preemptive strike, a necessary act of self-defense. They claimed that Iran was on the brink of achieving nuclear capability, posing an existential threat to Israel and the wider region. In the opening hours of the assault, Iran's air defenses were effectively blinded and battered, rendered useless by a sophisticated combination of electronic warfare. Precision-guided missiles rained down on their targets, guided by advanced technology and unwavering resolve. For ordinary Iranians caught in the crossfire, the suddenness of the attack was utterly terrifying, a nightmare come to life. Air raid sirens wailed their mournful song, explosions echoed through the streets, a symphony of destruction. Panic spread like wildfire through cities already strained by economic hardship and political uncertainty. The future looked bleak. The war had begun, a new chapter in the region's turbulent history, and its outcome, the ultimate fate of nations, was now precariously balanced in the hands of chaos and chance. The world held its breath. The Middle East's delicate balance of power, already fragile, was being rewritten in real time, with consequences that would reverberate across the globe. While jets roared overhead, Mossad waged a secret war on the ground. Israeli officials revealed a clandestine drone base inside Iran, proof of years of deep infiltration. Mossad agents, aided by local assets, assembled explosive drones in safe houses, targeting missile guidance systems and air defense radars from within. These sabotage missions blinded Iran's military, creating vulnerabilities for the air assault to exploit. The operation was a model of hybrid warfare, espionage, sabotage, and military strikes fused into one. Collaboration with the CIA provided critical intelligence, allowing for precise targeting and deep confusion within the Iranian ranks. Mossad's campaign left Iran's defenses in disarray, proving that the war's most decisive blows often came from the shadows. With Mossad's covert sabotage operations meticulously clearing the path, creating vulnerabilities and weakening key defenses, the Israeli Air Force initiated its aerial onslaught, unleashing relentless waves of advanced F-35s, the spearhead of the attack. These were followed by formidable F-15S and versatile F-16S in continuous sorties over a grueling 12-day period. Their mission, meticulously planned and ruthlessly executed, dismantle Iran's extensive and deeply entrenched missile program, a critical component of its military might. The secondary objective was to cripple its burgeoning nuclear infrastructure, setting back its ambitions for years to come. Underground bunkers designed to withstand intense attacks, mobile missile launchers, strategically dispersed throughout the country, and vital command centers, the nerve system of Iran's military operations, were systematically targeted and destroyed with pinpoint accuracy. The psychological blow to Iran's leadership was immense, a devastating realization of their vulnerability. Their prized missile arsenal, once a symbol of power and deterrence, was decimated, leaving them exposed. Their air defenses were battered and exposed, unable to effectively counter the relentless assault. Strikes on critical nuclear sites like Natanz, a key uranium enrichment plant, and the research facilities at Isfahan were precise and devastating. The strikes were meticulously planned, targeting both critical equipment and key personnel involved in the nuclear program, disrupting their operations at every level. Israel's air supremacy was near total. They commanded the skies with unchallenged dominance. Iran's aging and outdated air force was effectively grounded, unable to mount any meaningful resistance. Their battered and weakened air defenses posed little threat to the advanced Israeli warplanes. The relentless campaign set Iran's strategic programs back by years, crippling their progress and delaying their ambitions. The aerial bombardment left its military infrastructure in ruins, a testament to the devastating power of the Israeli Air Force. For the highly skilled Israeli pilots, the greatest danger was not the threat of enemy fighters, but the sheer complexity. The scale and intensity of the operation itself pushed them to their limits, demanding unwavering focus and precision. By the end of the 12 days, Iran's ability to wage war, project power, and threaten its neighbors was shattered, leaving a power vacuum in the region. Iran's retaliation was desperate but ineffective. Missiles launched at Israel were mostly intercepted by advanced air defenses. Israeli forces targeted and eliminated key Iranian commanders and nuclear scientists, throwing the regime into chaos. The loss of leadership crippled Iran's ability to coordinate a defense or counterattack. Iran's regional proxies like Hezbollah stayed largely silent, deterred by Israel's overwhelming force. International support for Iran evaporated, even allies kept their distance. Supreme Leader Khamenei vanished from public view, fueling rumors and deepening the leadership vacuum. The regime's internal divisions and intelligence failures were laid bare. Iran was battered militarily and politically, its command structure teetering on collapse. On day 9, the United States shifted from support to direct action. President Trump authorized Operation Midnight Hammer B-2 bombers, and submarine-launched missiles struck Iran's most fortified nuclear sites. Massive bunker-buster bombs targeted Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan, aiming to obliterate Iran's enrichment capabilities. The psychological impact was enormous. America had crossed the line from ally to active combatant. The strikes drew mixed reactions at home and abroad, with fears of wider war and constitutional concerns. Iran's response was limited, a symbolic missile attack on a U.S. base but no escalation. The American intervention became the war's endgame, forcing all sides to the negotiating table. A ceasefire was announced, abruptly ending 12 days of devastation. For ordinary Iranians, the outbreak of war brought not only uncertainty, but palpable terror. The lives they once knew were instantly overshadowed by the looming threat of conflict, and the fear of the unknown settled heavily upon their hearts. Every day became a struggle to maintain normalcy amidst the growing chaos. The stability they had taken for granted was replaced by widespread chaos and upheaval. The streets, once bustling with daily life, became scenes of unrest and uncertainty. Airstrikes shattered daily life in Tehran, turning familiar streets into unrecognizable landscapes of destruction. The sounds of explosions became a constant reminder of the ever-present danger. In the wake of relentless attacks, families were forced to make the agonizing decision to flee for safety, abandoning their homes and livelihoods in search of refuge. As blackouts plunged Tehran into darkness, a sense of vulnerability and chaos gripped the city, amplifying the fear and uncertainty that permeated every corner. Highways became clogged with desperate civilians trying to escape the escalating violence, creating a mass exodus from the city as people sought safety in surrounding areas. This mass displacement triggered a humanitarian crisis in surrounding regions, as refugee camps struggled to provide basic necessities for the growing number of displaced people. The war compounded years of existing economic hardship, pushing many families further into poverty and exacerbating the already dire living conditions. The disruption of supply chains led to severe shortages of essential goods, including food, making it increasingly difficult for families to feed themselves. Access to clean water and life-saving medicine became increasingly scarce, further endangering the lives of vulnerable populations. The Iranian diaspora watched in anguish from afar, feeling helpless as they witnessed the suffering of their homeland and the plight of their loved ones. They were torn between their opposition to the current regime and their deep-seated horror at the immense suffering inflicted upon the Iranian people by the ongoing war. The relentless conflict brought with it a staggering number of casualties, leaving countless families grieving the loss of loved ones and struggling to cope with the immense suffering. The regime's carefully constructed narrative of strength and invincibility rapidly collapsed under the weight of the war's devastating consequences. This collapse was quickly replaced by widespread humiliation and a surge of public anger, as people took to the streets to voice their discontent and demand change. While the ceasefire brought an end to the relentless bombing, offering a glimmer of hope for the future, it did not bring an end to the deep-seated suffering that had taken root within Iranian society. The nation continued to grapple with political instability and the looming threat of economic ruin, as the war's impact reverberated throughout every sector of society. The trauma of war left deep and lasting scars on the nation's collective psyche, impacting generations to come. As they emerged from the ashes of conflict, Iranians faced an uncertain future, unsure of what lay ahead and how to rebuild their shattered lives. The war had irrevocably changed their world, leaving an indelible mark on the landscape and the hearts of its people, forever altering the course of Iranian history. The ceasefire brought uneasy quiet, but no real resolution. Israel claimed victory, but its security now depended on continued U.S. support. Iran, devastated and isolated, faced calls to pursue nuclear weapons more aggressively. The regime braced for internal dissent and possible leadership change. With the IRGC poised to gain power, international reactions were divided. Some praised the strikes, others feared the precedent set for preemptive war. The ceasefire was fragile, with tensions simmering and minor clashes already flaring. The war had redrawn the Middle East's strategic map, but peace remained elusive. The region's future now hinged on whether leaders could break the cycle of conflict, or if another, even more devastating war was inevitable.